on the topic of the pandemic, you have been quite vocal about your personal resentment of lockdowns and the desire to see them sent hence forevermore. Tony Holohan, speaking, I think, yesterday, indicated that it isn't possible to rule out the prospect of those as we go into autumn and winter. What was your reaction?
He should have rephrased that and said he couldn't rule out the possibility of recommending restrictions and lockdowns. I think the key point here is government have to govern. And Tony Holohan never got a vote and is only interested in public health. He's not interested in the economy, employment, and that is rightly the position. And what I hope is that we have the assertion, as we've had from the British government, American administration and others, yes, we're going to drive on with vaccines and boosters and masks where necessary. Look, in my view, what China really exported was not just the virus, was the idea that you could take people's freedoms away in lockdown. And in 40 years of WHO, of dealing with all types of viruses, there was practices of isolation, of quarantine and so on. We never reached for the absolutely abhorrent lockdown. I think lockdown should be ruled out by the government. That whatever happens, we are not going to go back to lockdown. Whatever public health measures are.
Oh, but Ivan, how could you make such a commitment if you have a new variant running rampant in an urban environment and you've shackled yourself to a policy principle that says we will never lock down? What do you do in that context?
Okay, well, let's look at the consequences of lockdown as a technique. It's added 48 billion to the national debt. It resulted to 2 years of current budget deficits of 20 billion, unprecedented, all of which is going to have to be paid for by your generation and younger. There is no free money. It's all going to have to be repaid, irrespective of the...
But do you not think the corollary is that there are a number of people around to pay for it who mightn't otherwise be here?
Anton, we cannot afford another lockdown. We cannot pay for another lockdown. It's as simple as that. So the starting point is, what do we need to do to make people as safe as possible? And 2 weeks into this crisis, I said, you know what this is going to come down to? It's going to come down to personal responsibility. And if you, Anton, have an underlying condition and can't go into certain places, that is one set of rules. If you don't want to go into a pub or a cinema or whatever, that's fine. But it's quite another thing for you to tell me how to live my life. And that is the point. And I spent some time in the UK in the summer, and the cultural difference of the people, even aside the government or the NHS, the cultural difference is they have decided there is more to life than COVID.